While I was at school, I was part of starting a company called Big Belly, and we make an awesome solar-powered trash compactor. There's a couple outside the dining hall. More importantly, there's about 45,000 sprinkled around the world.
I am Etasha Cave. Toward the end of my PhD, I teamed up with a lab mate. We're at a incubator at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, which is the Department of Energy lab up in Berkeley. And we're there, and we're basically scaling up this technology to form our first reactor. So our first reactor will come out at the end of this year. It'll be a commercial reactor. So that's the goal, is to create a revenue stream for waste carbon dioxide.
Hi there, I'm Maya Bittner. I graduated as part of the class of 2011. I was the co-founder and CTO of a company called Roxbox. Roxbox does subscription jewelry rental. And we started very small, of course, at the beginning. And by the time I left, which was April 2016, we were shipping about 3,000 pieces of jewelry a day and had about 80 employees split between our headquarters and our fulfillment team. After Roxbox, I became the co-founder of Pinch, where we report rent payments to build someone's credit. So people are building their credit scores just by paying their rent, and we're really building the next credit bureau of the future.
My name is Slater Viktorov. I'll say I emotionally graduated with the class of 2015. Founded Indico Data Solutions out of East Hall. We focus on text and image analytics, so we primarily look at existing business processes, things like contract review or loan approvals, where you have people looking at documents and kind of manually interpreting them, and we help to augment and accelerate those processes with machine learning and artificial intelligence.
For Jeff, you came up with the product, the Big Belly compactor. At what point did you realize, or start to realize, that it could be a huge industry, versus just a cool product you came up with?
Yeah, I think any startup environment begins with some delusions of grandeur, and eventually you find out what the truth is, and it lies somewhere in between.
This is a general question for those of you who started your ideas at Olin. How much time did you sort of dedicate to working on that, and what was the progress that you made during your time at Olin?
Some nights we would spend 2 or 3 hours coding, and just the rest of the night, chatting, or my co-founder would play video games, and that was fine. Some nights, we would spend all 12 hours, and we would work into the long hours of the night, and we'd hear the birds chirping. So when we did eventually go to pitch Rough Draft, and then eventually to pitch real VCs, what really worked in our favor was the Olin mentality of making something tangible that you can kind of put in front of people, thinking through design, thinking through kind of the macro level impact of it.
So this is a question for Maya. We read a little bit in our reading about your work with gender bias in hiring processes. Could you talk about that some?
Sure. So I've been doing a lot of evangelizing of how I like to hire people. At Pinch, we don't use resumes, and we don't really do a traditional technical interview. All of our hiring is contract to hire, and so we do projects, and the projects are custom structured to work with someone's schedule.
What about Olin or in Olin do you think helped you, or prepared you for starting a company in the real world?
Starting a company is project-based learning on steroids. It is just one massive project where there's no syllabus, there's no textbook, there's no lecture.
I think also for me with UOCD, which we took as a sophomore, that class for us was very much like what you do when you're doing a startup. You go out, you talk to customers, you do this whole design process.
That entire mentality of do and learn as you're going and just get started, because that's really the only way to progress, is the most helpful thing to me in being an entrepreneur.